Let me know.
I'll just a minute.
Okay.
Let me just
Let me
see.
know when I can start.
Let me go up.
Hey, how about that? You see the first frame?
Oh, nice, Mitch.
We got it
Are
down
we
to a
going
science.
to
Yes. Oh, you
start with
got it
me,
right.
or are we going to start with Mitch?
Well, let's just have Sheldon make some preliminary remarks.
Yes.
I'll turn it right over to Mitch afterwards.
Very good. Good evening, gang. Nice of
Good
you
evening.
to come in attendance for the last membership meeting of the year, and it promises to get warm off 4th of July weekend. I know two of Paul and Steve will be going to see Big Boy 4014 in Philadelphia.
Yes. South Philly Navy Yard.
Yes, very good. Unfortunately, in addition to what I have previously discussed, I also have an extra day worth of docent duty in my museum on Friday the 3rd.
Very good.
Yeah.
That's
Now
the
for
Air
the
Power
topic
Museum.
everybody's been talking about. Due to appear in the Midsummer Bulletin, the E version, happens to be a mishap that I had on the SIR. Coming back on a Wednesday from a long day out at the museum, I was due to take the 703 train local to Great Kills. First, they switched the track. Then everything was going along fairly fine. At Grant City, they threw us all off the train. Nobody could say why.
Oh
And
my
I saw an
God.
SIR representative, maybe he was a motorman, and I said, "Do you have any idea?" He alleged there may have been some sort of problem down in Annandale. I said, "All right,
Mm.
hopefully the next train will pick us up." Um, Unbelievable. The train that discharged us went back to St. George. Another train that pulled in, discharged the passengers, and just took off. I forgot whether it went north or south. After waiting in the rain for half an hour or 40 minutes, I got fed up, walked up the stairway, from Grant City, went down to Highland Boulevard, where eventually I caught a bus home. This incident has been made. No notice of this was given to the local councilman's office. And as a further update, this coming week, I may be calling the borough president's office. You'll notice that there are now loudspeakers throughout the rest of the transit system whenever there's a problem. Not so the SIR, which just got destination boards not too long ago. So, still trying to catch up with the rest of the city. On a
There were
side
no
note,
digital signs, no digital boards at this station.
yeah, on a side thing, I was
Oh,
told that somebody still saw sets of R44s. I know about them. I was on an R44 recently going back to Bay Terrace. So you don't see them often, but they're there. So, on closing on this incident, I said to Brianna at Frank Morano's office, does anybody know how to operate a mass transit line anymore? No. To be continued on this. Well, that's
yes.
all I have to say right now. So thank you for putting up with my dialogue and whatnot.
Yes.
And I will
Thank
turn
you,
the floor
General
over to
Foz.
Paul. Pablo, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to welcome everyone to, believe it or not, our last membership meeting program of the meeting year. Here we are at the end of June. We're going into the dog days of summer. So far, we haven't suffered too badly compared to the western part of the United States and Western Europe.
Mm,
But tonight, we're going to be in the zone. Now, when I say we're going out with a bang, well, this year is no exaggeration in the guise of Mr. Mitch Dakelman, which, if you're familiar with his work, you know he brings the very best of whatever topic he's looking at. And in terms of the archival quality of the slides, which he digitized at a great consumption of time and effort, for which we have to recognize Mitch. Tonight, we go rails to Pittsburgh, which probably in the top 10 of rail fan cities, that ranks right up there, particularly amongst the devotees of the northeastern part of the United States. Pittsburgh is certainly a gem. It has a lot going for it in terms of the rail activity. The modern day era, we've course from trolleys to the light rail system that's remaining, the incline railroads, and just the angles you get for photographers. Particularly, you have the most bridges of any city in the United States, for sure, because you have the three rivers crisscrossing all over, and the Golden Point downtown, the picture taking opportunities from the incline railroads. It's all tremendous. And tonight, Mitch will bring his magic touch to that topic that we all look forward to. So on the other side, we'll get to the see you in September. But right now, year after year, month after month, the Railroad Enthusiast brings you the very best in rail fan entertainment. And tonight is certainly no exception in the guise of Mr. Mitch Dakelman. So therefore, let me turn things over without further ado. Mitch, take it away.
Thank you very much, Paul, for that really great introduction. I believe I sent you the script to read. Anyway, this show was originally presented back in April to the Pittsburgh Model Railroad Group. And it was shown again, I believe, to the North Jersey Electric Chapter, and it may have been shown to the New York Chapter NRHS. But I keep adding to the show because I keep digitizing pictures. So I have a large bank of photos to draw upon. I've got a large collection of Pittsburgh Railway streetcars. And I'm always digitizing, B&O and Conrail and BRR. And I could be doing a lot of shows for you. But to do a PowerPoint does take considerable time. It's just not the digitization of the images, it's putting the show together and adding the titles that I have. That makes it easier for me because I don't have to worry about memorizing anything or having notes besides myself. And also, all these programs are preserved in the iCloud. So whenever someone wants to see a show, I just open my laptop up and I can grab it. So anyway, here we go. We're going to take a trip to Pittsburgh. We're going to use various railroads that went to Pittsburgh that started from the east, started from the west, some industrial railways, and we'll start now, okay? So,
okay.
How come it's not advancing? Okay, anyway, here's a postcard view from the 30s and 40s, as Paul pointed out, the bridges. We're looking west toward the point. To our left is the Monongahela River. To my right is the Allegheny River, which converges to the Ohio River. So you have to your lower right a trio of suspension bridges. Then you have the double span Manchester Bridge. To the left, you have the Point Bridge, which predated the Fort Pitt Bridge, which is momentarily. Going downstream or upstream on the Monongahela is the Wabash Bridge, and then the Smithfield Street Bridge. I don't know the name of the bridge on the Ohio on the top of the image. Now, on the point, as you can see, at one time it had railroad yards, and also it was the location of the French Indian War, I believe. The the right side of the triangle had freight yards, and the Pennsylvania Railroad and Wabash, they had extended tracks that went down into the city. And the last customer finally left Pittsburgh. So there's no more rail service downtown Pittsburgh as far as freight is concerned. A map of the railroads that went to Pittsburgh. It's not a very good map, but we have from the east the Pennsylvania Railroad, B&O, Western Maryland slash Pittsburgh and West Virginia, coming down from the north, Bessemer, Lake Erie, and Union Railway was within Pittsburgh. And you had the B&O Rochester division coming down from Rochester and Buffalo. And then from the west, you had Pennsylvania Railroad coming in from Crestline and from Fort Wayne and from Chicago and St. Louis. You also had Pittsburgh, West Virginia, and Baltimore, Ohio. Of course, all this has changed now. B&O is now part of CSX, and PRR is now part of Norfolk Southern. Pittsburgh, West Virginia is now Wheeling, Lake Erie, and Pittsburgh Railways is now Port Authority of Allegheny County. So here we have a 1930s view of the Monongahela River, and we're looking southwest from Mount Washington. So the bridge in the foreground is the Wabash Bridge. Then you have the Smithfield Street Bridge, which also carried Pittsburgh Railways. Then you have the PRR Panhandle Bridge, then the Liberty Bridge, and I don't know the name of the suspension bridge on the center right-hand photo. In the bottom right of the photo is the yards of the Pittsburgh and Lake Erie. Now, that shed you see behind the Smithfield Street Bridge is the B&O station. Here's a view from Mount Washington looking towards the north, and right below is the Wabash Bridge, Wabash Terminal Bridge. And again, we have the Smithfield Street Bridge, the Panhandle Bridge, which is now Port Authority of Allegheny County Light Rail, Liberty Bridge, and the unidentified bridge upper right-hand corner. Now, in 1942, I believe, there was a fire at the Pittsburgh Wabash Terminal, and that pretty much did in the railroad going into Pittsburgh. They never rebuilt it. So here we have a photo that I found in Railroad magazine of the Wabash Bridge being dismantled. And all that remains today are the piers. Now, to the rear of this picture is the Point Bridge, which carried traffic from downtown Pittsburgh to Carson Street. Also, all streetcar service heading to Pittsburgh West, the West Side lines had to use the Point Bridge. So in late 50s, the Fort Pitt Bridge was under construction, and it was a project by American Steel, American Bridge. And in the mountain is the Fort Pitt Tunnel. So here we have the bridge under construction. I'm very, very lucky. I go on eBay every day. I type in highway slide, bridge slide, and I find all these gems. Here you have this picture of the Fort Pitt Bridge under construction. This is all a movie that I have made by U.S. Steel about the building of the Fort Pitt Bridge. Here's a view of it from the river. Now, unfortunately, when PennDOT built the bridge, they refused put tracks on the bridge for the streetcars. So once this bridge opened and the Point Bridge closed, that was the end of streetcar service to the west. Now I don't understand why they could have used. No, they could not use. They didn't have the Panhandle Bridge yet. That came later under Port Authority. Yeah, they had to get. Oh, they could use the Smithville Street Bridge to trolley traffic over to the west side. So I don't know why they didn't route the trolleys by way of the Smithville Street Bridge. But anyway, that's a matter of fact. Here's your Point Bridge from Mount Washington. Sat for many, many years, I understand. You can see it's barricaded. The Manchester Bridge is still operating. And then you have the bridge that connects the Fort Pitt Bridge. I don't know the name of it, but it was unfinished for many, many years. Finally, you can see on the left side of the picture the new girders going. In fact, it was a video made many years by QED called "The Bridges of Pittsburgh," and it was called "Flying Off the Bridge of Pittsburgh." And because somebody actually drove off the pier when the bridge was not open, they survived. So, again, another eBay find. Now, leaving New York,
Just hold on.
you would say, yeah, this is a Al Roberts. In fact, the other day I got a collection of slides from a colleague of Bob Yancey, Steve Timko. And Bob Yancey, bought a lot of the slides that belong to Al Roberts. And in this collection, I found some slides of Lori and Al. So I'll eventually digitize those for everybody to enjoy. So you already have a train leaving. All major trains that go through Pittsburgh going west. All the flagship trains. And of course, at Pittsburgh, I'm at Harrisburg, you had a locomotive change at Harrisburg. The electrification was extended to Harrisburg in 1937, but that's where the wires ended. There had been plans to continue the wires to Pittsburgh, but it never happened. So here you have a Burt Pennybacker photo of a westbound train with a K4. Now, I should also mention, before the time of the Penn Railroad, which came in 1846, I believe, it only ran from Harrisburg to Lewistown. You also had the Pennsylvania Main Line Works, which was a combination of primitive railroad, canal, the 34-mile Allegheny Mountain, the Allegheny, it was the Allegheny Mountain Switchback, Allegheny Mountain. It was an inclined plane railway. It started in Holliesburg, went to Johnstown. Allegheny Bridge Railway. Yeah, there you go. Here we have the second Rockville Bridge, which was an iron bridge, and they did have provision for the canal here. And the canal went up the river at Clark's Summit, at Clark's Ferry. The boats were hauled over the river by way of the Clark's Ferry Bridge and then into the Juniata Canal up to Holliesburg. Of course, in 1902, the 48-arch stone Rockville Bridge replaced the original iron bridge. And some of the piers from the iron bridge are still in the river. So here we have this 1950s photo, a conventional freight with F units and the Aero train, which was a daily Pittsburgh to New York train, or New York to Pittsburgh train. It was short-lived because it did not ride very well. You had also on the west bank of the Susquehanna River at Nola Yard. So a lot of traffic going up the Pennsy towards Pittsburgh or down east towards New York will go through NOLA. Now, my close friend Neil Shore built a layout in his basement, and he pointed out that even though Pennsylvania, the Middle Division, has mountains, it also goes through cornfields. And here we are between Lewistown and Harrisburg, and the Juniata River is just beyond those trees. And there's a road that runs parallel to the railroad, and you get these views. Now, the big boy will be running here on the 7th of July. I may just go out and get this shot. This is a Al Roberts photo going past Mifflin. This train is going eastbound, ST-45s. And a photo by Bill Price of a westbound freight. Looks like an empty coal train, coal hoppers, at Tuscarora Mountain at Newport. And at one time, the railroad was usually a 4-track railroad. There are now 2 here. But still very, very busy for Norfolk Southern. But a very, very beautiful fall foliage color photo. At Mount Union, we have the stone bridge. It's called the Maze Bridge. And in the late 1800s, Cassatt, the president, began a big improvement project at the Pennsy, expanding tracks from 2 to 4 and replacing the iron bridges with these stone bridges. And you see them in New Jersey, and you saw them in Jersey City one time before the railroad there was dismantled. But a lot of masonry, stone, a lot of arch bridges, and this is the Hayes Bridge, Maze Bridge. Another view of the Maze Bridge at Conrail Local, at Lewistown. Now you see they put some supports to keep the bridge from falling down. And this is the bottom of the bridge. That's Dr. Shore by the shore taking a picture. And you can see how high and how massive this bridge really is. Going west, we have Forge. This is west of the Spruce Creek Tunnel. I don't know why I did not add a picture of the tunnel. I do have photos of the Spruce Creek Tunnel, but I will have to put that in on a later revised version of the show. Going under a signal bridge with the target signals, I think they're called. And the aero train going through Altoona. Around Horseshoe Curve. Dick Flock, he was from Pittsburgh area. He was a friend, modeler, and upon his passing, his wife gave his collection to the NRHS. This is a view by Ken Kulik. He's a member of the New York chapter. He used to work for Amtrak, and he also gave his collection to the NRHS. So here we are looking down from Gallitzin Summit, and we're looking east. The tracks in the immediate foreground are the eastbound track with a connection to the Portage branch. And the train coming up the mountain was at a little lower level. He's going to go into the Gallitzin Tunnel. And that is still there, but I believe this is still there. But the signal bridge, I think, is replaced. Here's your Gallitzin Tunnel under Al Roberts' photo. To my left is the Allegheny Tunnel, which was built in 1904. The train leaving the tunnel is from 1854. It was remodeled about 25 years ago for Norfolk Southern Conrail high and wides. Now, to the right of the photographer is the eastbound track, the Portage Tunnel, which you see here. It's at a higher elevation. It's shorter. At the switch, you have a track leaving for the Portage branch, which goes down the mountain as an alternate route to Altoona through Hollidaysburg and around the Muleshell Curve. Heading west, we have Lilly. Lilly is west of Crescent. It's all accessible by bridges. You can still get these pictures, but it's in Norfolk Southern. Now, this is Cassandra, taken from the old Route 56 bridge. And there is a little park there set up where people can watch trains legally without trespassing on the tracks. I can't believe I took this picture 30 years ago. Here we have the Amtrak eastbound Three Rivers. Dick Flock was very, very meticulous about his recording of times and locations of trains. He has the name, the model number of locomotives, the number of locomotives, the name of train Three Rivers, the time, 11:16 a.m., the date, and this is looking down from. He lived near this area. He lived near Latrobe, which is 20 miles east of Pittsburgh. We're actually near Pittsburgh here. And I get another picture by Dick at Trafford. There were many, many more that he took that just didn't make it to show it. Because I'm also time-minded and keep going with the program. I've added more since I gave Steve a preview last week. We have the major yard on the east side of Pittsburgh. It's Pitcairn. See all those tracks. They had an engine service facility. They had a roundhouse. A very, very large yard here, but unfortunately, it could not handle the traffic that was coming through. So Conway Yard, 25 miles west of Pittsburgh, was improved. And you'll see that later in the show. This is a more contemporary view of that same area with the westbound Three Rivers. And we have in the Penn Central era a variety of locomotives. These are Alco C425s inherited from the Pennsylvania Railroad with a caboose. A more contemporary view by Dick Flock of a double stack freight with Norfolk Southern. This is what you see today, basically, here. Also in the area, we had local Swissvale. We're getting towards downtown Pittsburgh. And this is towards downtown Pittsburgh. Now, the Pennsy had these flyover bridges. That bridge connected to a branch that went over to the north side of the city. And this is an eastbound train with PAs. And now we're downtown Pittsburgh with the Conrail inspection train. Again, I mean, it's hard to fathom. This is 35 years ago. You can't believe that so much time has gone by. This is a photo of the Pittsburgh station by Dr. Hastings. The track you see in the foreground led to the Panhandle Division. It swung around and crossed the Panhandle Bridge, which I'll show you shortly. There's a young man there watching the trains from a ledge above the tracks. And this is the Panhandle Bridge with a Pittsburgh bound local. No, it may not be a local. This might be the National Limited coming in. Or the St. Louis train. They had a lot of trains back then, guys, but it's a K4 crossing the PLD yards. It's now used by Pat Rail. And again, a shot from the Liberty Bridge of a local commuter train, RS3. So the B&O station down below, that big shed, which I showed you earlier. Again, a view of the Panhandle Bridge taken from the South Shore. You had the Pennsy on a higher level, and you had the PLD on a lower level. And you had the Pittsburgh Railways trolleys on Carson Street. A view of the PR station. They had a big arched canopy over here, and eventually they put sheds over the tracks. Now I-379 bisects this area. See the houses there used by railroaders and miners. And the building you see to the right is the produce center of the Pennsy. It's now used as shops. There's different shops there. It's like a different stores you can visit, restaurants. It's 1952. The railroad had a yard up at 28th Street, which serviced the locomotives. This is a K4, taken by T.M. Flatley. And a contemporary view from Conrail of a train coming up the Fort Wayne Bridge, going into the Pittsburgh station. A big boy has to negotiate this line unless they be routed out of Pittsburgh. I don't know how they're going to do it. But it's a very, very sharp turn leaving the station, going over this bridge. Conway Yard is 25 miles west of Pittsburgh. I actually took this from a book, and then I didn't realize that I had the original slide I had bought for the morning some book sale. Conway is a very large yard now handled by NS, taken from the access bridge to the yard. These are Bolton Sharks leaving the yard, heading railroad east. And that is Route 65 to the right. This is a picture of Conway aerial view in its heyday, with the Ohio River to my right. And on this side of the river are steel mills like Laughlin Company, Jones and Laughlin. Now, coming out of Chicago, going east, you had very large steamboat like the S1. The S1 could not go past Crestline. They built this big giant engine without realizing that it was limited where it could go because of the curvature of the railroad. So between Chicago and Crestline was a pretty straight and level route, so they could really stretch its wheels on this section of track. Now let's I can show you more Pennsy pictures. Now let's take a look at the B&O. A B&O train, you leave Jersey City, and it would go towards Washington, D.C., and then head up the Potomac River Valley. So here's a builder's photo of the RM16s the B&O bought. A view of Harper's Ferry from Maryland Heights, looking towards Harper's Ferry. Your main line of the B&O is to your right. At one time it was to the left, now it's to the right. See the track curving around. That is a branch. That track curving around is not there anymore. This is a location called Cacapin. It's up near Hancock, not too far from the border of Pennsylvania and Maryland. And it goes through the Cumberland River Valley. And again, stone structure similar to what with the Pensy. This is the view of Hans Road, the Cumberland River Valley. We're east of Cumberland, and you have two lines of the B&O. This train is on the freight line, and the upper line was the cutoff, Graham Cutoff, built in 1914, which is now the main route of CSX. This line you see here is gone. On the other side of the river is the Western Maryland, which was abandoned in 1975, and the C&O Canal. What's that? Here you have the railroad crossing under the Graham Cutoff. This is called Magnolia. This is all like a dirt road now. I was down here many years ago looking for this. A little west of that location, a little west is Paw Paw, West Virginia. The main line, the Graham Cutoff is up on top, and the passenger line is down below. Bob Collins photograph. P74625313. From the negative. Now, west of Cumberland, you have Sand Patch. This is at Mance. Bill Price took a lot of pictures in the steam era in color, black, and white. So this is what you would see at Mance. Big, wide curve. And the present day capital, or they call it the Florida Special, runs on this line. It was one passenger train each way every day here. Coming out of Sand Patch Tunnel, you're at the summit of the Allegheny Mountains here, just like Horseshoe Curve, about 50 miles north of here. The Washington, D.C. chapter was very, very active in doing van trips back in the 50s. They had a man there, his name was Henry Libby, and he was involved with the NRHS quite heavily, and he did a lot of trips at the conventions. And last year, his son drove up to Washington, D.C. to deliver his slide collection. So I've been working on these pictures. That is the Connellsville Station and the B&O Speedliners, or RTCs, which were new at this time. Coming to Pittsburgh, we have a P6 passenger train. Photograph 1953. And again, a speedliner passing one of the famous steel mills. This is Glenwood Yard, which is down along the Monongahela River. And a lot of steel mills were serviced. You see a lot of gondola cars with scrap metal. You have a service train next to the tower. Coming down to Pittsburgh, near, this is near, well, I can't name the town. Train 8, Walter Zulich photo. Glenwood again, the B&O service facility. And coming in from the north is the Buffalo, Rochester, Pittsburgh, which became B&O and now CSX. There was a commuter train at one time that ran in Pittsburgh, a pack train. It ran for a few years in the 70s. The schedule, unfortunately, was not very convenient. So it did not last as long as it should have. A contemporary photo that I took back in 2024 from the um, bridge that crosses the this is from boy, I'm getting bad with my this is from the bridge that goes over the river. The original B&O station downtown Pittsburgh was dismantled in the 1950s. And this is a Frank Furness design building. Here's a station in downtown Pittsburgh that replaced the old station near the Smithfield Street Bridge, the Panhandle Bridge, and the Liberty Bridge. This photo was also from Henry Libby. In 1958-59, the NRHS had a convention in Pittsburgh, and here is a Pontiac Chieftain modified to run on rails. Now they ran a van trip. This is Harbor Township, kind of northeast of Pittsburgh. This bridge is still there. The Pennsylvania Turnpike is to my right, and they had a photo stop on the bridge. Now, if the photographer swings to the left, he sees this. That's Route 28 and the Pennsy branch that went up towards Johnstown. And the Villion Lock Dam. This is at the Conemaugh line. That's the Conemaugh line. That's what I'm trying to think. And here's a train coming down the Conemaugh line at Blonick's, Bolton ABA, Richard Wallen Collection. And up in Butler, the B&O service facility, Emery Goulash photo here. This, you can see part of a roundhouse, a turntable, a facility to clean the cinders out of the engine, to coal the engine. Again, a great modeler's photo. This is what made Running Some Books so successful. He acquired Emery's slide collection. Another railroad to look at is Western Maryland. I had a donation of slides from Mr. Lilac's son, Bob, a number of years ago. George was VP of Western Maryland. I didn't know him. I wish I knew him longer than I did. He was a film guy. He had a lot of railroad films. He liked me very much. I'm sorry I didn't know him when I was in college. But here's a lineup of brand new GP40s in Hagerstown. I can imagine him lining this all up for the shot. A view going around Helmstone's Curve, Challenger. This is where the Western Maryland Scenic Railroad operates. That is a view I took back in 2001 of their 734, which, by the way, is now under restoration. They haven't taken it apart. They're going to look at the parts and get new parts and put them back together again. Coming over at Ohio Pile, this part of the railway is now a rail trail. Now, this is an added part of the show. South Pennsylvania Railroad, never made it. This was a railroad financed by William Vanderbilt of New York Central. He and Andrew Carnegie collaborated, and Mr. Carnegie did not want to pay the high price charged by the Pennsy, so they decided they're going to build a parallel line. Meanwhile, the West Shore was under construction up the Hudson River, allegedly Pennsy interests. When J.P. Morgan found out about this competition, he put a stop. So the South Penn reverted to the Pennsy, and the West Shore went to New York Central. And the South Penn was never finished as a major railroad. There are remnants of the South Penn still out there. This is up Fort Littleton. Dan Cupper showed me where this culvert is. It's still there. It ain't going anywhere. It was never backfilled, but it shows a testament of the South Penn builders. 1937, the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission acquired the property of the South Penn and decided they're going to make a highway from Pittsburgh to Harrisburg. And here are the commissioners standing under the portal of the Blue Mountain Tunnel, which you go through at the present, which is still an operating tunnel. Here's the construction of the turnpike at Laurel Hill in 1940. And then the turnpike opened on October 1st, 1940. This is a Kodachrome slide I acquired off eBay from 1941. Isn't that amazing how good that looks? Brand new highway. Let's talk about Jesse's system, which was a result of the B&O, Western Maryland, and Wilmore Railroad, C&O merging together, and eventually became CSX. A art calendar from Griff Teller, 1954. Again, your Manchester Bridge and your Point Bridge. And the Point eventually became a state park. The PLD station, which is on the south shore of the Monongahela, near the Bristol Street Bridge, and got a beautiful restaurant now. PL&E operating, they serve primarily the steel industry. There is your Panhandle Bridge now converted for streetcar service. This is up on the upper line. He's passing under the Fort Pitt Bridge. That's the Fort Pitt Bridge. And a painting at Beaver Falls of the PLD crossing the Ohio River and passing the station, which is still there. PLD ran a commuter service that ran until around 1985. This is a Dick Flock photo. And another shot of a GP7. Of course, a lot of steel mills are gone now. The Monongahela Railroad bought New York Central RM16s. They bought, I think, two of them. They went to the D&H, and later they went to a railroad, the Escanaba Lake, Michigan. Another Monongahela Railroad locomotive at Baldwin, Brownsville. And Western Maryland Railroad, they ended their line at Connellsville, and it continued as the Pittsburgh, West Virginia, which went into Ohio. And at a yard just south of Pittsburgh called Rick Yard, which you'll see shortly. The trestle above is the West Penn Railway. West Penn Railways. Pittsburgh Pittsburgh, West Virginia, they had FM locomotives. This is an H20-44. Not a Trainmaster. Trainmaster has 6-wheel trucks. This is 4-wheel trucks. An accident at Green Tree Tunnel, 1952. Tunnel still used today by the Pittsburgh and Lake Erie Railroad. Back then, you could go down and see a wreck. Today, they'd have the whole place cordoned off. The Pittsburgh and West Virginia continued into Ohio as the Akron, Canton, and Youngstown Railroad. They also had Fairbanks Morse diesels. Another shot in the Norfolk Western era. And now, in the 1990s, the line was bought by a group called Wheeling Lake Erie. They bought hand-me-downs from the Southern Railway. They still have these engines, too. They rebuilt them. Looks like an ex-Missouri Pacific, GP40 and GP35. And an ex-Rio Grande locomotive at Brook Yard. And a present-day view of what these engines look like today. All different paint schemes. Looks like a Burlington scheme. Looks like Wisconsin Central and a Rio Grande scheme. Also, some short lines that ran in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh, Charlie, Youghiogheny at McKeesport. And Bessemer Lake Erie came down from Lake Erie. And they supplied coal and iron ore to the United States Steel Corporation. View up at Chiquera, up by the northern end of the railroad, up by Lake Erie, taken by Sandy Burton, and coming around a curve. Rochester and Southern is a Genesee, Wyoming subsidiary in Homer City. They had a power plant up there. The power plant shut down in 2023, and that ended that operation. The Allegheny Valley Railroad is a relatively newcomer. They call it now Carload Express, which serves local trackage in Pittsburgh, running on B&O track, Pennsy track. Here's a map of it, and a current view of one of their locomotives. Coming down through Oakmont, which was the old Allegheny division that went to Buffalo. The Union Railroad is owned by the United States Steel Corporation, coming under the Westinghouse Bridge. Their locomotives have different colors as well. A newly painted SW1500. And the roundhouse at Union. View at Duquesne Yard. This is the southern end of the Union Railroad. Again, I mean, all serving the steel industry, basically. Now, the part you're waiting for, Pittsburgh Railways. Very, very large system. They had over 600 streetcars. Served the north side, west side, and south side of the city. There's a very good video series put out by Gloria Transamundi of the Pittsburgh Railways. Here's the Pittsburgh Railway streetcar crossing Brookfield Street Bridge. Now, there's no more streetcar service in downtown Pittsburgh. They've got an underground subway that replaced all this. Going over the Springfield Strip Bridge into downtown Pittsburgh. And downtown Pittsburgh itself. The Braddock line. When the streetcars went on the expressways, they went up over this ramp here onto the Braddock Bridge. And up the Mount Washington line. The NRHS had their convention in 1959. This is the Drake line of the Pittsburgh Railways. One of the last lines that still have PCCs on it. And crossing over the Glenwood Bridge. The Wilberding Bridge. Wilberding was the location of Westinghouse Air and Brake Company. And if you look at the picture closely, that car is trying to get around the streetcar, and behind the automobile is another streetcar. So I think this is probably a fan trip. And when they do fan trips to Philadelphia streetcar, it just screws traffic up because they stop, everyone gets out, gets their picture, and the automobiles get very, very impatient because they can't get around the streetcar. This is a black and white photo of the Allegheny County Fair. Painted PCC. I do have a color photograph of this. I don't think it made it into the show. And at Dormont. I like the little telephone, little station there. The McKeesport Pearl Loop. The chartered trolley. And Castle Shannon, or Shannon Castle. They had a sweeper. And the modern day LRBs. I think these have been replaced. This was taken. This is what replaced the PCC. So they rebuilt the line to library. They didn't go to library. They didn't rebuild the library. They rebuilt two lines. The South Hills line. West Penn Railways ran from Irwin down to Connellsville. And it lasted until 1952. So we have quite a few photos of West Penn Railways. This is coming through Greensburg, which is east of Pittsburgh. And I believe that's it. All shows come to a good end. I think that's my final slide because I finished with the caboose. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Great program, Mitch.
I could add like
Amazing.
more, but I'm talked out. I'm tired. I have to go to work.
Sure, of course.
So
You gotta-
pay for me. So
Excellent.
Oh, but
Excellent.
you might as well stop.
Brought the
screen
material to life.
Please, you can stop screen sharing it, being that we're no longer at that there's
Thanks,
no
Mitch.
to be shown. No.
Great program.
Always
Lot-
good,
Hope
Mitch.
everyone
lot
enjoyed it.
of variety, lot of variety.
Yes, that's
Good
A
show.
very good show.
oh,
Very good show.
absolutely. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Wendy.
Oh, glad
Nice
you
seeing
made it.
Yeah,
Good to see you.
I tuned in a
Wendy.
little late, but hey,
Oh.
Phil, but I
Better-
made it.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Well worthwhile.
Yes.
Better late than never.
Yes.
Yes. Quality
I-
program.
I also say the same, a lot of variety and photos of the yards, the tunnels, the bridges
Yeah.
that you don't see in any other shows.
No,
We have a lot
you
of
don't
shows
really-
on these topics, but this really, I think, put everything together really better than anything.
Brought the material to life.
Very
Thank
much.
you very much. Appreciate it.
Classic, iconic photos.
But I will work on a new show for a future presentation.
Great.
Yes.
Thank
Much
you, Mitch.
appreciated.
Thanks, Mitch.
You may want another New York Central show, or I could do a New Haven show, maybe.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Always
Yeah.
good, Mitch.
But my
Yeah, well,
New Haven Al Roberts slides are loaned out to somebody who's writing some books.
well,
Anyway,
I'll be in contact after Labor Day.
have a great.
You do
Have
the
a
same.
good
Okay.
summer.
Yes. Have a good time.
Yes.
Yes. Nice
See
seeing
you in
everybody.
September.
Yes.
But in the interim, as Wendy said, have a great summer.
Thank you very
One and
much.
all.
We have some great trips
Speak
planned.
to you soon.
Oh, great.
Right. Speak to
Have a
some-
good time.